Good afternoon on the East Coast. Good morning on the West Coast. This segment, I'd like to welcome you to Skills Up, the precision cut. Now, when you think about it, where does the precision cut? What do you mean, Sam? Well, I want to begin with one length hair. I think it's so important. I was reading an article today from the UK, and they were talking about what's the most difficult haircut to do, and it's basically one length. Being able to cut truly one length. So I want to be able to talk about that in terms of, do I have a client stand, sit? How do I hold my hand? What do I need to be aware of? What are the do's and don'ts when it comes to one length hair? There's two things I'm going to do for you. I'm going to go through and I'm going to cut long hair and just cut it one length. I'm going to show you how to cut it square, show you how to cut it oval, but keeping it one length. We're going to talk about the things that happen as we pick up the hair and we're working with it. So it's important that you understand one length. What do we mean by one length? Anybody know? Type it in the chat. Anybody know? What do we mean by one length? Is it truly all the same length? Okay. You have to think about that based upon where it goes. One length hair is basically where everything is cut at a 0 degree of elevation. Once I start to lift this up, now I'm putting what we call graduation. And the higher I lift this and start to work with it, the more we're putting in layers. So I think what we have to understand is, okay, there's two things. Number one, the shape of the head. Number two, how you're choosing to elevate it. And not only that, but when you elevate it, how do you hold it and what do you do with it? So let's just talk about that for a moment. All right. So the first thing I said was this hair needs to be cut at one length. Okay. So I'm bringing that to one length, one length, one length, one length. Now let's take a look at this. The moment I start to do this, now we're moving away from one length. So what I'm trying to share with you here, one of the most important things to be aware of is moving this hair and moving it up. The way you elevate that, you're going to start to put some graduation on it. So it's important you get that. When you elevate it, you're starting to put graduation. Some people refer that to as layers. I'm not going to debate upon what's graduation, what's layers. Let's not go there. Let's focus on one length. So in order for me to cut this, I've got to be aware of how I'm holding the hair. So one of the most important things, first of all, is the shape of the head itself and head position. So let me show you something. What's really important is when I cut this particular shape, I've got to be aware of where that hair lives, where it's at. Now, as we're going through this, guys, any questions you have, put it in the chat box, okay? I want you to participate with me. As I'm going through, I'm going to ask you sometimes to put a Y for a yes, an N for a no. I want you to participate. Teachers, if you're managing that computer for everybody, then you go ahead and do it, okay? So, Petra, nice to see you, my dear. Great day with you. All right, here we go. All right, so what I want to do is one length here, I want to work with a middle part. I think that's the most important thing is to understand. To keep it balanced. It's really important to keep it balanced. So we're going to work with one length, with a middle part. So once we get our middle part, then what I want to be aware of is how I'm working with a comb in regards to how I'm combing this hair. So allow me to explain to you what I mean. I'm going to give you a profile view of this, okay? Because I want you to watch the grain of the hair. So let's define what we mean by the grain of the hair. The grain of the hair is basically the hair itself, the way it's sitting. See that grain? Now watch me comb the grain. Watch how the grain will sit. Now it's going to sit diagonally. You see that? That's the grain. That's what I mean by the grain. Okay, be aware of that. Next thing we need to be aware of is the head position. So if I was to put a marble up here, where would that marble roll? It's going to start to, if I let go of it, it's going to start to roll to a certain position. So think about that as you're combing the hair. Let me give you a really good example here. I'm going to turn her to this right here so you can see her. Okay. Now watch. See this hair? It kind of tends to grow forward. Look at that. See that? It grows forward. So what I'm doing is when I comb the hair, and I'm combing it with my wide teeth, when I'm combing the hair to get it in its natural falling position is defined as where it lives. To get truly one length hair, comb it in its natural falling position. So watch. I comb it slightly forward. Then once I hit the round of the head, look at that. See how it's moving slightly forward? It's not here. See? So once I hit the round of the head, now gravity takes over and I comb straight down. Now I have that hair exactly where it lives. Let's examine this one piece of hair. Lock your eye on that piece of hair right there. See that? Most people will take that This is where it's from. It's coming from over here, but look where it's falling. Look at the difference. Most people will take this and comb it straight down to here. You see that? So watch that hair. Watch it. Watch it. So watch. Boom. Here it is right here. I just followed it. Did you see how I moved it? And that's because I'm choosing to comb gravity immediately. So what I need to do is comb growth pattern. Now around to the head, comb it down. See, that's so important, guys. That little detail of how you're using the comb and understanding the shape of the head will give you truly one length hair. Well, Sam, you know, what happens if I make a mistake? Well, then you're going back in and you're correcting things and you're seeing little lines and you're trying to take, and what you end up doing is taking it shorter to get it truly one length. Okay. If you're with me so far, just put a Y in there. And if you learned something so far, put an L. So it's either a Y or an L. Put it in there, guys. All right. Now watch this. Now, how do you divide this? Well, one of the best ways to divide it in quadrants. That's the best. Front to the back. And then when you get to the back, left to the right. Okay. And then we're going to talk about some other things as we're working. Good. Excellent. Joseph's college. Cosmic. Joseph, what's up, Joseph? Yes, I'm glad you guys are here. This must be the Nebraska one. I bet it's Nebraska that's on with the skirt. Okay, look, see what I'm doing right now? I'm leveling. Head position is critical. Well, Sam, how do I level head's position, a client's head position? Some of you are going to think, Sam, this is crazy. No, I really want you to get everything. Watch, I'm going to give you a profile view. Okay, I'm going to pull this hair back. Okay, now watch. What you want to do is you want to get, there's a certain way that I hold my head position when I walk around in my world. Watch this. Keep an eye on me. Watch. Take the comb, place it horizontal. Boom. I'll bet you, I'll put money on it right now that that's a horizontal line right there. See, that's how I walk around in my world. Was it horizontal? If it was, put an H. Okay, so what you want to do to get this head in the proper position the way she walks, have her hold her head, which is what is straight up for her, then place your comb here. And now you can see that I have that head straight up. Now, if I didn't have that head straight up and I placed my comb here, look at the comb. It's slightly against my black background. It's slightly going down. Is this making sense, guys? So now what happens is because of that, now when I comb with natural fall, I'm going to be leaning too far forward and then coming down. You see how important this is? Simple little details make a difference in terms of head position. So we have to understand that. Take another look at another concept of head position. Let's say, for example, listen to me now. Listen to me, students. Listen. Let's say that I want to elevate this horizontally. Would everybody agree with me? I'm elevating that horizontally. Type a Y in the chat box if you agree with me. A Y. Type a Y in the chat box if you agree with me. That is elevated horizontal. That's a horizontal line. Now watch this. If I tilt her head and I'm working and I'm getting ready to get my next section and I push her head over there and I tell myself, elevate horizontally, and I go, that's a horizontal line. I can see it right now. That's a horizontal line. But when I cut it there, is it truly a horizontal line? When she lifts her head back upright, look where that's at. You see the difference? So we have to understand head position is important. Now you're probably saying, well, clients are moving their head constantly, Sam. If I push it back, you ever realize this? Teachers, you probably know what I'm talking about. You push it back and their head comes back up because they're talking to you. You push it back, it comes back up. Guys, you got to communicate with them. What do you mean, Sam? I tell them, Louise, I'm going to push your head down. Okay, I need you to hold it exactly there so I can get the precise line that I get. I'm going to let you hold it there for about 40 seconds and I'll let you back up. You see, what I was doing there was I was talking to her little voice to participate with me. And I told her the time limit. Sometimes we push their head down and they're like this and they're like, oh my gosh, my neck is killing me. I got to come up for a breath. And then we keep pushing and we get frustrated. Communication eliminates that frustration, guys. Okay. Communication is key. Absolutely right, Allie. How would someone crossing their legs in the chair throw off one length hair? Great question, Olivia. Great question. Watch. Okay. Watch me just cross my legs right now. Did you see me just cross my legs? Now, I guarantee you right now what's happening is the angle of this shoulder, and the other opposite camera, the angle of that shoulder, I'm going to use my white, is different than the angle of that shoulder. Can you see it? Did you? Oh, let me get my comb. You see it? You can see it. All right. So you have to be aware of, guys. I want you so that I can get this. Watch me set them up. So I'm ensure that I get my balance proper. I need you just to uncross your legs and sit straight up and put your back up against the chair. Okay. That's going to help me to get my balance proper. That way I'm not going to be spending so much time going back and fixing things. Put some fear in them if you have to, guys. You know, teachers, sorry about that, but it's true, guys. You got to communicate. So yes, Olivia, be aware of those legs crossing. Now, some stylists are saying, well, they can cross their legs, but I'm more aware about their head. Sometimes you'll watch today when I'm teaching you, when I'm cutting some hair, I'm going to be aware of the shoulders. So when I'm aware of the shoulders, then I'm going to make sure, okay, let's make sure your legs aren't crossed because I'm using your shoulders as a means of me balancing your haircut. Oh, okay, Sam, I didn't know that. I'll uncross my legs. Now, some people will cross their legs and some stylists will say, fine, I'm okay with that. But I guarantee you what they're paying attention to is this. Is this tilting? Is this doing this? So they want to make sure, is that straight up? Okay. Is it tilted? Okay. Is it straight up? So if they're crossing their legs, go to that method. Is this helping you out? Now, if this helps you out, type an H in the chat box. Okay. So here's where we go. Now we go 4 quadrants. All right. So now what are you going to do, Sam? Watch. I'm going to go comb, grab, growth pattern, growth pattern, growth pattern, growth pattern, growth pattern. I need to wet this down some more. Okay. I like to, when I cut my precision cuts and everything is really, you know I'm going for a very precise haircut, I cut wet. Okay. And we're going to talk about some things that I might cut dry. We'll talk about that when we get to tension. We're going to talk about some tension. All right. So watch me comb, 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 comb. What are you doing, Sam? I'm aware of where that hair lives. Where it's growing. Now, once I got that, now I comb natural fall, natural fall, natural fall. Comb, 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 growth, natural fall, natural fall. You see I'm doing this, guys? I'm aware of this. Okay, look at this. See, it's going forward now. There's that little whirl right there. So here, well, Sam, this is great. You're going to comb with natural fall, but what about when the wind catches it? I'll show you how to cross-check one length hair. Okay, I'll show you because you got to cross-check the hair from nature. Mother Nature's going to move it around so that if this is where it lives, but I guarantee you when it blows, it could blow someplace else and you might have some long hair sitting over that length. You got to be aware of that. All right. Next thing, once I've got that combed in natural fall, now divide front to back. Now I'm simply going to divide front to back. So I go over that ear, wide teeth of the comb. I'm not working with the fine teeth of the comb. Why not, Sam? Because when I want one length hair, I want the wide teeth, not the fine teeth. The fine teeth are going to give you too much tension. Lock to the side when cutting bevels 1 and 6. Summit Salon Academy, Kokomo, wants to know if you have your guests look to, yes, I'm going to talk about that. Why, Sam? Because it eliminates the shoulders. Okay, Kokomo, you're awesome, brother, my friends, but you're ahead of me a little bit, all right? So yes, I'm going to talk about that. In terms of working behind this ear, this darn little shoulder tends to get in my way. So we'll talk about that. All right, here I am. Look at that. Okay, so see, I've got that. Now watch what I'm going to do. I'm going to section this. The reason we section is for control. And notice my clip. My clip is going up. See how it's pointed up? It's going pointed up. So the hair is captured inside the clip, not pointed down. Now I'm going to go through here and I'm going to separate my opposite side. So I'm going to separate. I'm going to play it this way so I stop moving her around and keep her centered for you guys. Okay, now I'm going to come through the opposite side, and here I go. I got that in combed in natural fall, moved it around just a little bit as I was twirling her around. Now I'm going to come through. Now watch me blouse. This is a blousing action I love to work with. It tells me where that hair belongs. So look where I got my entire hand underneath the entire hair. Okay, I'm going to use my thumb and my index finger. Okay, I'm going to go right at that ear where I believe it to be. Just lightly pinch on it. See it just very lightly, push it up, and it's going to split. What that's telling me is that this is telling me this hair naturally wants to move forward. Okay. This tells me this hair actually lives towards the back. So this is important to be aware of. This tells me if I wanted to cut like a bi-level French where it's a French cut to there and then one length hair, this is as far as back as I go. Some people, watch this now. Watch, natural fall. Some people, watch, you're going to see what I mean. Okay, there we go. That's where I belong. Okay, somewhere right in here. See how it just happens for you, and you got to trust it. Okay, then you can come in and you can clean it. Now watch this. You see how this hair here, it's moved forward? Look at that. See this? Up there? It's moving forward. Okay, but watch. Some people take this hair, put it back here, think it belongs back here. Then they cut this French. Now you got this long hair that keeps falling over it. And you'll see clients grab it and put it back where it belongs. That's why I like to blouse, guys. Once again, I'm going to section. Now, I'm going to go quads now, and then I'm going to talk to you about something else when I'm cutting, something that I'm aware of that really helps me out. Now, I go center back. So now I'm going to get back into that natural fall. Look, notice how I really pay attention to how I comb it. Remember, most difficult thing to cut is one length hair. All right. Right now, we're talking about our sectioning. We're talking about the shape of the head, and we're talking about natural fall. Okay. Now, what I want to do is I'm set. I'm ready to go. Now I'm going to go center. Okay. So I go center. And see how I just get right with that center? Look at that. That's pretty cool how that works. All right. So let's take this. This will be the left side. And then if I have anything to clean up, I'll come back in there and I'll clean that up. All right. I'm going to accept that where it's at. That seems to be where this particular Lydia mannequin wants to go. Okay. Now we're coming to this side. All right. Now I'm set and ready to cut one length hair. Okay. So I had to get in here and I had to position myself first in order to really understand that shape of the head and the combing action. So a couple of things that we've talked about so far. We've talked about the idea of natural falling position, working with the wide teeth of the comb so that we ensure we maintain even tension. I'm going to go deeper into that. We've talked about the head position and how to determine that in terms of how they walk around in their world. That's critical. Then I want you to understand, most importantly, guys, is I section 4 quadrants, but there's some things that happen inside of these areas that I'm going to talk about as I'm going through and I'm cutting this, all right? So it helps me to position my hand properly. But first, what I want to do is I want to cut something square in the back, all right? That's what she says. She goes, I want it very square. Not a problem. So when they want it very square, what I'm going to do is I'm going to stay with my 4 quadrants. And I'm going to work with it I'm going to divide this into 4 quadrants in the back, and I'm going to keep it very square. Okay. You'll see how I'm going to do that. And the idea is, again, it's all about your sectioning. So I'm going to start with my section now. And because this hair is long, I suggest you start your sectioning up higher. A lot of times when you go in and you section underneath, especially with these clients that have this long hair, what happens is there's a lot of breakage underneath, and you think that's the length. You go to take off that ½ inch they want. Then you bring your next section, you're going, oh my gosh, I'm actually taking 2 inches off. So make sure that you're up there a little bit more in terms of what you're doing. Okay, that's very, very important. All right, so now what I want to do is I want to go through. I'm taking my diagonal back section in that back area. Now I'm going to talk to you about a couple of things. Now I'm going to talk to you about shear. I'm going to talk to you about the idea of your hand. How do you work your hand? And I'm going to talk to you about tension. Those are 3 things we're going to focus on right now. Okay. When I have long hair and I'm cutting one length hair, I like working with a longer shear. So I like working with a longer shear because it gets me right to where I need to go, and I just cut it. Gets that length off. It's a nice wide straight line that I can work with. Okay. And then you have your choice. And I'm going to introduce you to something now. As you go through in your career, you're going to be adding more tools to your kit. Okay. Highly recommend at some point get a longer shear. That's important. You'll have short, medium, and long. I recommend that as your career grows. Then you're going to be introduced at some point in your career to swivel. Some people find that when they're working with one length hair, they like working with a swivel because of their hand position. So a long shear is really important there. Okay. Once I'm here, I go back, I moisten. Okay, I come back, and I love working with my Redken 1 United. Okay, this is my cutting lotion when I'm working with these ideas. All right, here we go. Now watch what I'm going to do. Okay, I'm actually going to take this, and I'm just going to work with the center. But watch how I'll go and I blouse that, and look how that split for me. Okay, watch how I'll come to the other side. Okay, watch how I'll come to the other side. So I'll blouse that again. I saw Kurt had that up. So I'll come through here. So what I'm doing is I know that's center. Everybody with me? I know that's center, okay? But what I want to do is divide each one of these in half. What I want you to understand is you're going to get better success if you work with, I want to make sure you can see where I'm cutting, if you work with smaller width of sections and connect them rather than working with a wide section. I've discovered the wider the section is, the more opportunity I have to slope that line down. Look at my comb, look at the white comb. I slope that angle down, all right? So that's important you understand that. So the idea then, once again, is by dividing this, it's going to give you much more control. And then I want you to watch the position of my hand matches that. Just because I'm cutting it square, look at how I'm holding my hand. I'm not going to hold my hand square like I'm on a box. By doing this, I'm going to turn her a little bit. Now, bear with me, guys. I'm getting really detailed here. Okay, watch. Okay, so if I go here and I go here, square that box, I go square, you've just over directed that. Okay, you've taken it out of its natural falling position and just slightly over directed that. So it's important you understand that shape of the head. I'm going to go back up. I want to see if there's any questions. Are you going to section into smaller sections within those quadrants? If so, would you would you section it more vertical or horizontal? Salib, you just saw what I did. Yes, I'm sectioning those, so I'm not thinking wide. I like to think narrow. Okay, I'm going to cut horizontally. All right, let's go next one. Can you explain what a difference between blouse and shirt? Not sure, Jay, what you mean by shirt, so I can't explain to you what I don't know. So if you can position that question another way. Shayla, is there a reason why they should diagonal part their subsections rather than section it squared off subs? Okay, I like to go diagonal because diagonal is round and the shape of the head is round. Because what I'm actually going to do, even though I'm going to cut this nice and square, I'm going to follow the shape of the head. It's going to give me a nice, clean, round back. See, a lot of times, guys, watch this. You got to get this. If I cut this square, what you're actually doing then is you're talking about taking all of this hair from its natural fall where it lives, bringing it back here and pulling it and cutting it there. You have to realize when you do that, you created some small amount of graduation in there. So that's why I like sectioning this for what I know as the bevels of the head. Some of the schools work with a principle-based design system, and some of them do not. But I think the point that I'm trying to make so that everybody's in the game here is, once again, you have more control if you don't think so wide. Let me give you an example. Okay, check this out, guys. Watch this. Let's go to the chart, Kurt. Okay, look, here's point A. Okay, and way over here is point B. Okay, now if I gave you a marker and said, draw the straightest line you can from A to B, you might get it pretty straight. But if I said to you, here's A, there's B, there's C, there's D, there's E, can you see that your success rate is higher? Because what you're simply going to do is you're simply going to connect these dots. Does that make sense? Okay, so that's why even though this head, you're going to cut a square shape, you got to understand the head is not a box. It's a round surface. So that's important to note right there. And that's pretty deep. Just simple on one length hair. I told you it's not as easy to cut. That's why a lot of times I see stylists, I'd see them in salons, even in my salon when I had it, was they would go in and they would cut what they believed was one length, but afterwards they dried it. They were going back in there and they were cutting, and that's because they found that they had to recut. Okay, so now what I'm doing is I just divided off these corners, and I'm going to combine my center back two together, and I'm just going to cut that square in the back by combining those two together. Remember, just be aware where you're at. That's so important. All right, Kurt, there's a lot of questions popping up on this, and that's because it's such really good foundational information. So, buddy, if the question comes up, just pop it up there, and I'll continue to turn around and take a look. All right, fine teeth or wide teeth, Sam? I'm going to go wide teeth. Next thing, would you mind please standing? Okay, I'm going to have this client stand. And the reason I'm having her stand is so that I can get eye level with my length. Okay, now when I have them stand, I'm the client. They go back behind the chair. They put their hands on the chair. That stabilizes them. You see that? They're standing. And now I tell them, hold your head exactly where I need it. You with me on that? So it's just much easier. I'm just going to say this, and teachers, excuse me for saying this, but what I want you to get is I want you to get this. Make sure your students understand. Put the client in an uncomfortable position before you put yourself in an uncomfortable position. I think that's important. Okay, why? Because the students and as salon professionals, you're there 5 days a week, long hours, 8 to 12, sometimes. Okay, so you got to really understand how it's important it is that you are in a comfortable position. They're only there once every 8 weeks. Let's go the opposite side now and divide this in half. Okay, so now I'm on. That's that quadrant right there. Okay, now here. This is where I'm at. So now watch how I'll get rid of this, you see? And now look at where I'm at. I came to the opposite side and I positioned my hand and my body square to that section. And now I cut my guide on this side, just making sure that my line is the same. Look how you like to use a white comb. All right. I like to use a white comb. And the white comb, the reason being is because it acts like a contrast. So look, see, I can see in the mirror, how straight is that line? Now watch what I'm going to do. This is where the mistake happens. When we move to this outside, we bring this hair like this, what it should be, and we go like this. Okay. And then when we do that, what happens is then you're wondering why the underneath right here in our bobs or even in our long hair, it's slightly longer. You ever notice that? When they pull their hair forward, got these little long pieces. That's because you pulled and over directed that hair back. So now I'm going to bring this hair back. Okay, here. There, wide teeth. Look at my wide teeth. Now look at the comb. See how I place the comb? So I'm not like this. I'm placing the comb here where it comes off. That's the position of my hand right there. Now I'm leveling off. And now I'm cutting horizontally. All right, let's talk about a couple things now. Sam, yes. What when I'm sectioning, what's some of the most important things? Keep your sectioning even. So what I like to do is place the comb there. See that? See where that white tooth, the section tooth is? You see the width of that right there? Then that tells me the width of my next section. Okay, this way I'm keeping it really consistent. Why is that important, Sam? Because if I don't keep it consistent, guys, then what happens is I will go through and I'm going to bring whatever. See, I just divided that. Look how I just divide that. See that? Be so simple to take this. Watch this. Watch this. I'm going to give you that back view. Watch. To do this, look at my hand, and then go like this. You see? Now what I did was, if I cut that line right there, then what happens is I'm getting longer over here. So I've got to be aware, guys, in terms of this will still look square. I'm going to bring some more hair down because she doesn't have hair to cut. And that sometimes happens, doesn't it? On one length. So now I'm going to bring my next section down, okay, and see if I got anything to cut there. I'm going to bring more hair down. Now she was not layered. That's just this mannequin. This is real life. Sometimes this happens where there's so much breakage on top. Look at my sections. Continue to go diagonal. Okay, we've got some hair now. Let's go after it. Okay, watch now. So I still come in and I subdivide this. What about using a cutting tool? All right. What about
an interesting question? I think it would probably apply to a lot of curiosity out there.
Okay. So what about a cutting stool? All right. So on a cutting stool, what's important, guys, is this. If you need to use a cutting stool, I don't have any issues with a cutting stool. If you choose to say, okay, I'm not going to have them stand up, the most important thing is to understand there's going to be things that are going to be in your way. So you've got to be aware of that there are things in the way. So for example, right now, what's in my way right now is this shoulder based upon her length. So there's two things that need to happen. Okay. I'll bring the rest of this length down to make sure I've got some hair to cut. Watch. I still comb natural fall, natural fall, natural fall. Okay. I'm going to get this up and out of the way because I want you to see this. All right. So now once I'm here, I'm going to go through. I divide that. Okay. And then once I'm there. So now watch. Once I'm here in this back, this is easy. Shoulders are not in the way. But as I get here, watch this. Watch. I'm going to be the model. Watch this. As I get in the way and I'm coming here, I'm cutting right behind the ear. And when the hair gets longer, this shoulder is in the way. So there's two things you can do. Watch my head. To have the client look to her right shoulder. Now that just brought everything right here in the front where everything is a little bit easier to get to. If this is making sense, type a Y in the chat box. Type a Y in the chat box, all right? Now, I could also turn her and make her look to her left shoulder. That eliminates the shoulder. So have her turn her head to the position that she feels most comfortable. So watch me cut this now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have her turn and look at your left shoulder, please. See, now her shoulder is about right there. Can you see that now? This is taking that whole shoulder out of the play. Okay. All right. Now watch what happened. Watch this. Now look at how I'm getting this really. I'm going to just put it in here where it goes. And I want you to watch the effect that I'm getting out of this. Okay. Do you see that, guys? Hopefully you can see that. Okay. Olivia, you're absolutely right. These shears are very satisfying. Notice, guys, I'm going in there. It's boom, boom. I'm not. I want a straight line. The more I do, the more you're going to start to maybe drop the angle of that shear. So you've got to be aware of that as you're working through. All right, Callie, you're with me. I got a Y from you. All right, hold your head up. You just tilted your head slightly back. All right, now I'm on the side area here. Okay, so you have to understand, even though they say square, follow that shape of the head, guys, so that you're not having these little ends that fall around it. So it's going to be square, but it's going to be square to the round of the head. That would be square to me. Okay, all right. So now here in the front, I bring that down. You can see there's not a lot. I'll turn her so you can see. Okay. Now, as I'm working here, once again, I'm going to go over the corner of the eye. I'm not going to work so wide. See, I just got rid of this piece here. Usually that's at that corner of the eye. So my principal base, friends, I've divided 1, 2, 3. The bevels number 3 and 5. Okay. 1, 2, 3 behind the ear, 4 left corner back, 5 right corner back. When I'm cutting 3 and 5, I will actually, 3 and 6, I will actually go through and move their shoulder. That's for my principal base design friends. For my PBD friends, non-PBD friends, just forget what I said. Just pay attention to what I'm doing. All right, here we go. Now watch. See, I'm always addressing back to combing, natural fall, natural fall. Now let's talk tension. All right, tension. How tight do you hold this, Sam? Okay, a couple things we need to be aware of. Tension, I want medium. Here's where I really believe with tension, when you're working with tension. Tension is about how much do you squeeze this? You know, when you're working with this, how much do you squeeze? That's what I mean by tension. So you have to understand tension, the correct tension is based upon the characteristics of the hair you're working with. What do you mean, Sam? Straight hair, I'm medium to good tension. Okay. Fine hair, I'm medium to less tension. Okay. Curly hair, probably no tension. You see where I'm going here? That's the characteristics. So tension is critical. Okay. Examine your finger. Everybody put the hand that you hold the hair with. I want you to put it out. Okay. Just put it out. Okay. Once you're there, then what I want you to do is I want you to close it. Okay. Now look at if you looked at my finger angle, look at how much airspace I have in there. I'll bring it really close and you can just see, look at my air pocket. So what I do is I overlap my fingers. So you'll see me take my index finger and I'll overlap it. So now look at that. See how I've closed it? That's why it's important I use a comb so that I'm using the comb to establish the line. I'm not using my finger to establish the line. There's more margin of error if you're coming in with your finger. You might think that's horizontal when you're here looking at it. But what I want you to do is this. I want you to comb, then I want you to grab, and then I want you to glue your hand to the comb and follow it down to your guide. You see, that's going to guarantee. What most people do is you don't glue it. Then what happens, you release the comb. Now you start sliding. Now let's see what kind of angle I got. Look how I got that angle tilting down. Okay. So really some helpful tips there. If you got some tips on that and you learned something there, put L in the chat box. Okay. Questions. Okay. Now, as you can see, I trimmed off her length and she wanted to keep it long, and I've trimmed it in a way where I've worked with the head. And it's even all the way around. Now, maybe it might slope a little bit because I worked with the round of the head, but I would prefer that than it being so uneven on the bottom. Now, watch. So watch what I mean. Okay, now look, I'm just going to put this in blow dry position. Now, look at this. Look how I'm working with my hands. Learn to work with your hands and get things in blow dry position. When you do this, that client will be so happy. Your head is tilted. Okay, there we go. All right. Are you learning? Yes or no? I hope you're learning something, all right? So now, hand position. The hand position is critical. Let's go this side. Let's talk about hand position, all right? Sam, would you work like this from one side to another? No, I wanted to demonstrate some things on that side, then talk some things on this side. So I would go in. Oops, I forgot my corner front, my bevel number 1, okay? I would go in, guys, and work from one side to the other just to create balance. It's just something I prefer to do. So if you prefer to cut one side than the other, just be aware of those little hot tips that I'm giving you. Now let's go back to the opposite side and allow me to share some other things with you. All right. Maintaining the same moisture is critical. That is so critical. Maintain that same moisture as you're working through. All right. Hand position. We've talked about tension. All right. Hand position. Now watch this. Okay. There's that corner. Okay. Keep your head right where I put it, please. Okay, you move your head. The more you move your head, the more mistakes I make. You see the fear I just put in her with that little phrase? Sorry, teachers. All right, here we go. Okay, now look at this. Now look at how I'm turning that corner. And now I'm going to take off just that little piece, that corner. Here comes my next little bevel. Remember, why am I doing that? Because the natural common tendency is going to be do this. That square. Now look at that angle, that hair, how it's over directed back, where the natural falling position is there. So that's why it's important to understand these, what I refer to as bevels, as some of you students know. All right. All right, good. There. All right. And now my next section. Okay. And I've got the hair divided front to back. All right, let's get control. Stay in control, guys. I'm not going to stand here in front of you and claim that I am perfect. I'm not perfect. I make mistakes. Okay. But it's only a mistake if I don't learn from it. If I learn from it, then it's no longer a mistake. So stay in control with your section. I just didn't like that. It's getting a little sloppy on that section, and I'll call myself out on it. Yes.
Sam, my friend, I think we got that answer to Jaya's question about blousing, and she's got a better way of phrasing it for you. So I'll catch up with you on this one.
Okay. What I meant by my last question is blousing and tension release the same or different? Is blousing and tension release the same? Now I'm confused by tension release. So tension, here's tension. Okay, let's stay with me, Jay, in regards, rephrase that tension release for me. That's tension. That's tension to me. So tension release would be that. So I'm just still trying to understand what you now help me understand tension release. All right. All right. So here we go. I'm going to continue. See how I separate that? Look how my body position is. I'm square to that little area, that little small rectangle right there. Look at my fingers. They're overlapped. Now I'll talk about hand position. Look at my hand position. The palm of my hand faces here. I'm not like this. Look at my wrist. I want you to get this now. Watch. When I'm like this, watch the blade collapse on the line. Watch the blade. I'm going to pull it like this. I'm going to get closer. You can see. This is critical. You have to get this. Okay. Watch. That's my line. Now watch the blade collapse on the line. Do you see that? Now watch. If I turn my hand this way, and I'm going to lift it high so you can see. Let's see if I can get position for you to see this. Okay. I think I'll come over here. Maybe this will make it easier. All right. Watch this. Okay. If I turn my hand, I'll lose the comb so you can see. Okay. If I turn my hand like this, then what's happening is, watch. Let me just give you more hair. I'm not going to cut it. I want you to see the action of the hair. Watch. Oops. Comb down. Okay. Look at, see how my hand's like this? So what happens when I go to close, watch this. I'm lifting. Look at the blade. Look at, see, I close. Watch. See how it lifts that? The bottom blade, that's my action blade. So when I go to close, it's lifting the hair. So you elevated it. So you're not getting one length hair. That's why the action blade needs to be on top. Did that make sense? If you learn something there, put learn. So it's not about, well, I can't do it that way. I can't do it. Success comes in cans and failure comes in can'ts. Yes, you can. You can. So it took me a while to learn it, but I would recommend you learn it. Let's watch. So I'm here. Here's that corner. Okay. Look at my hand. My left leg goes forward. My right leg goes back. So I square my body to it. Now I'm ready to cut. Left foot forward, right foot back, open my body. Look at this. Look at my arm. Look how straight it is. Now collapse and close. You see that, guys? Let's go to the side. Watch here on this next bevel. This is bevel number 6. Okay. Now watch. Boom. That's where I belong. Now watch. I'm going to put this down so I'm not flipping it. I can bet you a lot of you want to learn how to flip your comb. First, learn how to cut a straight line. Okay. Hold your comb the way they tell you. Watch. Look at me. Watch. Watch me collapse. Boom. You see that? Now watch. If I turn this way, that shear pulls the hair out to the stable blade. Are you learning? I don't know about you, but sometimes those little things make a big difference. Okay, let's see that question. All right. When having your client look over their opposite shoulder to avoid the hole behind the ear, do you run into any issues with the client's chest being their way? Yeah, that's why if this is a great question, Callie, and thanks for asking that. So if I bring her this way and this is in the way, okay, then what I want to do is to eliminate this area, then turn her this way. Now you're cutting on a flat back surface back here. Did that make sense? Okay. So tell her to look at something. Okay. And she goes, well, my head can go only over here. Tell her to look at something that's just past her shoulder. You see that? So she's looking at something because that you want to get as much of this head on that side so we have a flat surface. Did that help you out? Okay. If that helped you out, just put help. Just put help. Okay. All right. Continuing now. Look, see my sectioning? Now watch me comb that back down, natural fall. I need you to get this. Every time I go to cut a section, I'm aware of natural falling position. That is critical. Okay. So there, nothing really to cut there. Look at where I moved. Look at where I'm at. Wide teeth of the comb to stabilize that. Look where my hand's at. Once again, this is where we want to do this just because they say they want it square. But I guarantee you're going to have longer pieces underneath as it moves to the front, and you're going to wonder why. And it will also seem like it's finer and like it's thinner. Look at Sam. Look at Sam. Look. See, I'm using my hand to put it in blow dry position. Now watch. As I bring you around, you're going to see this has kind of a square effect to it, but it's got a little bit of a round effect going around. Okay. All right. Now my last section here. Remember, guys, section these things. Even though I'm there, now watch me section, and I'm going to take some of this back. So I'm not just going to section here and take, I want to get some of this hair even with where this hair lives. Just a little hot tip there. Oh yeah, and my bevel. Come on, PBD. Excuse my back for just a moment. My apologies. I apologize for that. Okay, I got that one corner of that eye out of the way there. All right. All right. Something to be aware of the front area here. I'm going to give you a front view of it, and that's hand position in regards to the front. Okay, there's my guide. I can see my line. All right, so I'm going to give you a front view of this. Let's take that out of the way. You go over here for now. Okay, I want them to see that front. Okay, watch. Watch my hand position here. Okay, once again, let's square you. I want you to look straight in. Atta girl. Okay, now watch. My hand position. Okay, look at the shape of the head. Can you see? I'm going to look at that angle. The comb goes in. Okay, now if this was a box, if her head was a shape of a box, that comb would be seen like that. Do you see the difference? If you see the difference, type yes in there. Okay, what I'm trying to help you understand is hand position here on the side. Look at that. Okay, see the shape of the head? It does this. It goes in. You can see that. Okay, most people will take this and do this. Now you're elevating this out again. Now you're getting longer underneath here. Is that making sense, guys? Or you're coming through and your body's here and you're taking the front corner off. So what I want to do is this. I want to go in and watch. Look how I look at the comb. And now that is the position of my hand, not that. Big difference here. You got to get this one. Sam, because guys, then if you turn your hand, look at my hand. Let's position my hand. Okay, look at it going in. I'm going to give you a black comb so you can see this. Because if you go through, guys, and you do this and you turn away from it, you got to understand you're elevating that hair underneath. Now you're making it look finer because it's kind of got some layers to it. So it's not that. See the comb? Okay, it's not that. That's the shape of the head going in. How do you know, Sam? Put your comb here. And now just comb down, and that's the position of your hand. See it going in? Now, I've done this so much. Once you repeat, it becomes a habit. So I find now for my PBD friends, my schools out there, I don't need to divide all the bevels anymore. I just blouse as I go along once I take my wide sections. But I'm not going to cut anything in a wide area. Does that make sense? Okay. My last bevel here, which would be number 8. Now, some of you are going, God, you're talking these bevels. Guys, I cut this, I bloused this. So let me just clarify it for you. There were 8 little areas that I took. That's all I did. Okay. From those 4 quadrants, I added 2 more in the front and 2 in the back. So that made it a total of 8. Okay. All right. Now I'm just going to take a piece and just check my length in the front. Ooh, nice. Just a tad. Now I truly have 1 length hair. Did you learn something here, guys? I hope you learned something here, and I'm not done yet. Now watch this. Okay. She wants it oval now. Now watch. You're going to see the difference. And I'm going to do this just by taking all the hair at once for the sake of time, because I want to show you a fringe. Okay, watch. Now I'm going to break the rule of what I've showed you. Watch. Let's get rid of this side, Sam, so they can really see. Okay. That was my little voice talking to me. All right, now watch. I'm going to gather this, and I'm going to bring all this back here. And if I do that, I want you to see that little roundness that I have right there? That's critical, even if we're square, because if I square all this, bringing that back, that's even finer and thinner in the front. Now watch what I'm going to do. Now I want it oval. So instead of taking everything to the back, I'm going to bring everything to the front. Watch this. Okay. So I'm here, here. Look, see, I just take everything, use the comb. Now watch me take that comb and bring it to the front. Okay. And then I'm using that point of the center back as my guide, and I cut a straight line. I'll give you a front view of this. There. See that? Now I'm taking everything out of natural fall, everything that I just taught you. Okay. And that's because she said to me, she said, I want an oval. Now here's a great way to get the line of oval. Watch, 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 watch. Look at it. See how it's going oval? Watch. I'm going to give it to you here. Okay. Look at it. See how it's dropping from shorter to longer. Now I've got this angle. So you see how over direction gave me that. So now look at the point that I'm getting in the back. Okay. Do you see this, guys, in terms of that? Now I can come back in. That's giving me the line. I can clean up anything underneath. Let's do it again on this side. Okay. Once you go on, students, the most important thing is I want you to master what I showed you. You're going to master the idea of understanding one length hair. So if I were you and you're not busy, there's no value in the break room, grab a mannequin. And if you're in the break room, just put a mannequin there with you in that break room. And now go in there, here to there. And now I like to take some of that front of what I just cut. And then from there, I'm going to go through and cut the rest of this. Okay. But my point that I'm getting at is it's practice. You've got to practice these things. Okay. One of the things I want you to be aware of also is try not to cut past that knuckle. I have a bad habit of always cutting past that knuckle. And when I do,
nice knuckles, Sammy, that's why. I'm bringing your attention to a question we have from Becky that was probably right about the time you talked a couple moments ago. I thought you better see that first.
Thank you, Kurt. Okay, Becky, am I doing a round layering? I'm creating an oval perimeter. Okay, that's my goal here. I'm not really elevating it. I'm over directing this to the front, which is going to give me a little bit more layered effect. But at the same time, look at the oval I got. Do you see that, guys? How simple that was? That's because I understand elevation over direction. So round layering to me would be like this. That's round layering. Isn't it interesting how we have this language and then sometimes we have to say, well, what do you mean by that? And sometimes they mean the same thing or sometimes they're quite different. Imagine this. We could probably have our own hairdresser's Webster's dictionary. I should do that, Kurt. Create the Webster's hairdresser's dictionary. Okay. Now watch the shape. Look at the shape that I created by just going oval, but by understanding everything over direction in terms of how that works and understanding elevation in regards to one length hair. Now, you've seen that. Now watch this. Okay. Now I'm going to show you a fringe and how this works. So I'm going to cut a one length fringe. Practice, 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 Callie. Absolutely right. What does blousing mean, Sam? Blousing means like a blouse. See, that's kind of blousing, you see? So blousing means pushing it up, push the hair up. Watch, I'll blouse this hair because I'm going to cut a fringe for you. So I'm going to go middle part. Okay. Now I'm going to comb my hair in natural fall, natural fall, natural fall. I'm concerned about the fringe area. Now I'm going to come to the fringe area. Now watch me blouse. Blousing means just like a blouse. It's very loose. So loosen this up and push up. Now look at that. Okay. I'm going to give you a little more view so you can really see it. This is telling me where this particular mannequin, in this case, where that hair wants to live, where it wants to be. That's where I want to cut it, especially on a one length fringe. So I'm going to come through. Watch. Look at that. Look at split. You see it? See how that split? So that tells me that hair is going to fall perfect there. Leave this alone. This is telling me, Sam, if you bring this into the fringe and you cut it, then this is going to fall back over this with a little hard line. Okay. That's why I like to blouse. So blousing is just like a blouse. You're just pushing it up. The action is push the hair up and it will separate or blouse on its own. Okay. I hope that helped you out. Let's go the opposite side. Now, I understand head shape for my students that understand those 8 bevels. Watch this now. Okay. So the idea is I understand head shape. She tells to me, she says, Sam, I want a fringe that's just, I want it nice and blunt and I want it heavy. I said, okay. But what I don't want to do, guys, is this. And I see this just too much. Number one, long shear, eliminate it. Why? Because you're not cutting wide areas in this particular case again. You're not cutting long, heavy, one length hair. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move to a 5.5 or 5.7 shear. Okay, it's smaller on my hand, but it's going to allow me to work with the little areas I'm going to work with. Watch what I mean now. Okay, watch this, guys. This is really cool. Actually, I'm going to make this fringe wider. So I can be creative and move it back a little bit. So I'm going to look for the next plane or the next area that where it grows. I just want it to be a little bit heavier, or excuse me, wider on this fringe. Okay, now watch how I do that. Okay, I let this hair fall. That looks good. So now I'm going to come through. I'm going to click that back. Okay, once I'm here. All right, now I'm going to go the opposite side because I moved it back slightly. So Sam, is that something that you creatively made a decision? Yes. I naturally let it part on its own. Watch, I'm going to do it again. So I know where it parted first. Okay, see this? Watch. Corner of her eye, but I want to open her eye up a little bit more. So I'm going to go the next natural division of where I see that hair grows. Look, see that? See, so you can move it around, guys. I want you to understand how that blousing effect works. All right, now once we have that, look straight in so they can see.
Sammy, if I may interject just for a moment, I want to give all our audience, our partners, and our guests a notification that we plan on going a little longer than the hour today. And this is such an important topic. We think we need to give it to you in its full ballooned, bloused way. See what I did there?
So what I want to do now is I'm going to go through here. I'm going to take this in 4 quadrants. So look what I did. Middle, then I divide this in half. You see, if I keep this triangle the same here, okay, then what I want to do is, what I'm doing is I'm going to pull this to what I think is square. Watch what I'm doing. Look at my hand. Then look what I'm doing on the side. I'm over directing. Do you see that? See, I'm over directing that area. So this is where that comes in, understanding the shapes of the head, the shape of the head, even at the forehead in terms of how it works. So watch this. Real simple, and I can do this quick and easy. Okay, so there's one. So I'm going to isolate this one. See? Now I'm going to go after this one. Now watch this. I'm going to work the white comb so you can see this. Okay, white comb here. Now look at it. I'm not going to put this comb straight like a box. I'm putting this comb so it comes off there and comes off there. And that is where I'm going to cut this fringe. You see that, guys? You see my comb? If I gave you another view of this, this is so critical. Look at the comb. See the comb where it's at? Now, most people want to do this and pull the comb out here and cut like a straight line on a box. Now you've over-directed that. So I like to lay it, place it into the wide teeth, turn, and cut. Okay. Now I'm going to move to my next section right here. You see, and now look where that hair is. Now look where the comb's going to go. It's going to go right there. Easy way to do it. Pinch the section. Comb comes underneath. Okay. And now lay that hair inside of your comb. Okay. So I'm here, lay it inside that white teeth. I got a piece of that guide and cut. Look at my hand. Position of my hand. Now look how I'm just making that just wrap right around the head. Might have a little bit of an edge right there. See how I can see things, guys? Use your mirror. Your mirror is your best friend. Your mirror will always, always tell you the truth. Now I move over to the next side, right over here. See, don't take that whole thing at once. Look, work with this shape of the head. Look how I grab that. Okay, now look how I grab some of my guide, working with the wide teeth. Wide teeth, and now place the comb up against the forehead, and now place your comb in, and now that comb is turned. So it has turned because the head is turning. Now watch this. Look how it's just wrapping around. You see that? If I pick this up and do this, now you got a corner here. You're coming back in and trying to square that off. So I hope that you've been able to learn something today, guys. It's all been about just understanding one length hair and some simple little things that we need to be aware of when we're cutting one length hair that have helped me over my career. And what's helped me over my career is just the fundamentals, the basics. So students, I want you to understand something. Don't make the mistake that I made. Listen to your teachers. Listen to your teachers, because what they're telling you is going to help you later on in your career. All right. So now remember a couple things, guys. Natural falling position, how you're working with your tools, your choice of tools, Kurt, I think are really, really incredible. Incredibly important.
I mean, just a wonderful teaching exercise today. I know, guys, this is a complicated discussion comparatively, what you're learning today. But the great thing about what Sam's given us today, as in every one of our classes, They are available for you with the same link you're using now to witness time and time and time again, including for those students who have yet to even enter your schools. So this is a great example of how Sam's Skills Up student training can be valuable to you indefinitely.
Okay, Kurt. Well, I just want to get to Melissa. What would point cutting give texture? Yeah, point cutting. You could, Melissa, you could take it and you could use point cutting on it. I'm doing that a lot today. My focus was really on one length, but you could certainly do that. Over directing can kill a cut. Jada, I want you to change that attitude. Just understand over direction. It won't kill the haircut because over direction is important and sometimes I need it. So remember that, Jada. It can kill a haircut if you're using it when you don't want to. Okay, so be aware of that. Sam, does natural hair blouse the same way? Natural hair will blouse the same way, but you got to use it with your hands. Don't use a comb. Okay, comb will just cause expansion. All right, guys, I just want to say thank you. I'm going to hand it back over to Kurt. I'll see you next time on Skills Up. And remember, if I can, you can. Focus on how you can versus why you can't. Thanks for watching. Off to Kurt.